Okay, good morning folks. We're here in sunny San Diego. A little bit of coastal fog right now, but we just finished our event with Don Tolman and myself, Dr. Yoder, at the Encinitas Community Center, and we're going to go over some Q&A, some of Don's favorite format for helping people, and we have some very specific questions that we're going to go over. But before we dive in real quick, I just want people to know that whatever it is you're addressing, there's basic principles, and Don has a website and his pharmacy desk reference books where a lot of that is covered. They've actually released just a recipe book where you type in the symptoms and you can get the answers.
Yeah.
Okay, great. Okay, first question. I have a small sore on my finger below the cuticle that resembles a blister. About 2 years ago, a dermatologist removed it, but it came back. I've tried many remedies, including mud, clay, topical ointments, etc. What can I do?
Whenever you have this kind of thing, the very first thing that you do is you start with lemon juice. Just slice a lemon, put it in a little Ziploc bag, carry it with you throughout the day, wherever you're going to go, wherever you're going to be. Then you just pull it out and just squeeze a little bit of lemon juice on whatever the sore, the spot, the age spot, the liver spots, whatever it is. You do that about 6 or 7 times a day, and that's going to clear and heal that problem. The other thing that you can do, if you want to be a little more aggressive in getting rid of it, is to oxidize the epidermis, or the outer skin layer, the dead cells. And we shed about 1 pound of dead skin every month.
Right.
And what happens in some spots is the dead skin collects, and then little bumps and things start happening. So if you take 35% unstable hydrogen peroxide, H2O2, full strength, you just take a Q-tip or a cotton bud, you just tip it in, put it right on the spot, and you'll feel little jabs. Under an electron microscope, that's actually little lightning bolts. You can see the lightning.
Wow.
And it will turn pure white, white as snow. That's just oxidation of the dead skin cells. And it'll fall off in about 2 hours, and you'll just have regular colored skin. And it may take anywhere from 3 to 5 applications. Just do it once a day, follow it up with lemon juice throughout the day, and you can heal any problems on the skin that way. Absolute true.
And those products are on your website?
Yes, we have the unstabilized. Absolutely.
Very good. My question is in regard to anxiety, focusing on profuse sweating from head to waist that accompanies the anxiety. What can I do to change or stop the anxiety and raise my serotonin and dopamine levels, which were found to be excessively low, causing the anxiety?
The answer to that right there is you chop up fresh pineapple and you have slices of oranges and you eat the pineapple and oranges together, and that targets the dopamine, the serotonin levels, all of this stuff, gets rid of the stress emotional molecules, and you'll find that you'll be in a state of calm and a state of happiness. That's what pineapple and oranges eaten together do. Then, whenever you can, get out into the sun. And during a day when you're starting to feel stressed, have essential peppermint oil. Put a little bit in your hand, 2 or 3 drops. Go outside into the open air. Rub your hands together. You close your mouth, breathe in through your nose, out through your mouth when you move your hands, and you watch. It'll stop. It's like when women go through that stress point of premenopause and they have hot flashes and things. That peppermint, when you step outside, will stop the hot flash.
Very good. I have Meniere's disease in my left ear for about 3 years. Any cures or remedies?
The thing to do on that particular situation is to use 3% hydrogen peroxide. It's where you get the 35% full grade. Use 11 parts water to 1 part hydrogen, and that makes 3%. Use 4 or 5 drops in the ear when you're laying down, and it'll bubble and effervesce. Then take tissue and just roll it up about the size of a cigarette and twist it, and then just twist it down into the ear and clear the thing out. And then you can use ear candles and pull everything out of the ear. If there's anything on the outside of the ear from this, because that's sometimes a symptom that starts the process and or it's one of the end processes or symptoms, do the full strength hydrogen on anything outside the ear, but never use 35% full grade inside the ear. But that's going to clear this and to get rid of it.
Remedies for osteoarthritis in my right wrist following a prosthetic which has been there for 40 years.
Yeah, and that kind of a thing, I wish we'd have met before it was put there. But what you can do now, for the pain, you can use what we mix. It's an ancient oil mix. It came out of 3 different countries. We just call it Golden Relief, R-E-L-E-A-F, and it has 24 karat gold in there. And that gold will absorb right down through the body, along with that oil mix, goes right to the nerve and the myelin sheaths that are being inflamed and even infection growing around in there, and that's the pain you're feeling. That Golden Relief is going to help to clear that. Then later in the day, 2 to 3 hours later, get what we call healing chrism. It's helichrysum, which is a wild harvested plant. And you put that balm on there, we call it healing chrism. Do that 4 or 5 times a day. In the morning, use a Golden Relief. About an hour before you go to bed, use a Golden Relief. And you'll see it will heal and soothe those nerves.
Very interesting. Long-lasting lifestyle change that I can do to keep my adrenal system from chronic exhaustion.
In that kind of a situation, what you want to do is to reset the adrenals and the adrenal cortex and the functions of the brain that allow for the release of glucagon, which is one of the mega hormones, they call it, that the pancreas develops, and it gets it up and puts it into the adrenals for energy. The way to reset that whole thing is, you're up to it, is to do about a 5 to 7 day water fast. If that's too much for you, because it is for some people, go on a Kabbalah juice fast for anywhere from 21 days to as long as 40 days. You go with how you feel. You're going to kind of crash and burn and feel tired, and you might get nauseous and dizzy and weak for the first 3 days. So if you work, start it on Friday. So if you go to work on Friday, just start the juicing Friday. Go through the weekend, get through your tiredness and the metabolic shift and everything. On day 4, you'll feel your energy just starting to lift like this. Kabbalah juice is 1 pound of carrots, 3 apples, a beet, or beetroot as some people call it, and lemon. And that'll make about 1 quart or 1 liter of juice. And you can have 1 quart to 4 quarts a day during this fasting period, juice fasting. You're going to find that your adrenals are going to come right back to 100% full function. You'll have more energy than you've had since you were a little kid.
Don, I've had some people ask if they can use their Vitamix blender to make the Kabbalah juice versus the pulp. Does that make a difference if the pulp is in the mixture with the Kabbalah juice versus just the juice?
Yeah. In the ancient world, they knew there were 3 paths to follow when it came to healing. And it was up to you. It's your body. What are you mentally and emotionally and physically ready for? If you have all of the fibers and everything left in the juice, that's a slower path to healing, but it's still going to lead you to healing. When you have just the juice and very little fibers in it, that's faster. And the fastest is water.
Okay.
When you have air and water, that's the fastest healing.
Okay, great. How to dissolve and overcome childhood fears that were passed down through the womb from mother and relatives, which are recurring in the nervous system.
In this kind of a thing, to be able to remove and to get rid of stored reactions to fear and other emotional traumas and problems, it comes down to, in fact, what Dr. Yoder says, when he says, inhale love and breathe out gratitude. When you start to feel these things, if you go out into the open air and do that very thing and focus and concentrate on that,
Right.
And then we have the Carillon Bowl, and that is one of the fastest emotional healing processes that there is. It's referred to as vibrational medicine. But then another thing, I have an ebook very inexpensive, called Feeding Your Emotions. And I think it would be critical for all of us to go through that information of our ancestors and the different colors of foods and smells and textures that affect emotions in a profound way.
Very good. When small bumps, growth, etc. show up and we wonder if there are cancerous little spots, how do we deal with them with diet or anything topical?
And that goes back to the 35% hydrogen peroxide and then followed up by lemon juice, and you watch. It'll heal, it will clear. Don't fall into the fear game. False expectations appearing real. Fear. Don't go there. Just use the lemon juice, get into the sun when you can, use the hydrogen, and it will clear it.
Very good. Helps get rid of rashes, bug bites, or itchy things such as poison oak or poison ivy.
Yeah.
Sounds like somebody was walking out in the wood getting their fresh air.
First of all, yeah, there's not one insect on the earth that they're aware of that can stand the smell of aniseed or aniseed, A-N-I-S-E. If you get the aniseed oil or the seeds themselves and even grind them up and put the anise oil on it, get a water spray bottle, put in a couple of cups of water, dump about a tablespoon or two of that into there, shake the thing up. If you use the seeds, you'll have to strain it through a cloth because you don't want to block the spray. But when you go out in nature and are going to go walking or whatever, you spray that on, mosquitoes, nothing is going to bite you or come near you. You can even throw in a stick of licorice bark, and that's going to help as well. They're part of the same genus or family of plants. And so that's going to stop all that from happening. If it does happen because you didn't have that with you, then the thing to do is to use salt. Get into the ocean water if you're close to it. If not, get into a bathtub, dump in a couple of cups of good salt, not commercial industrial salt with aluminum and everything in it, but just good salt. Then you can take the salt, wet your hand, and rub it on that area. That salt, the reason it was so precious, the reason the word salary means to be worth your salt, is because salt heals, especially that kind of thing.
How can I improve my energy, excess weight, lack of ambition, and purpose?
Was it excess weight?
Yes.
Yeah. There again, either do a water fast followed by a juice fast, or just go with a juice fast. If you get somewhere along the line that you just feel desperate to eat something and still keep the metabolic burn of the stored lipids and, adipose tissues or the fat cells, when you lose fat cells through fasting or running or both or whatever, those mutate into stem cells for healing and repair of the human body. That's why they're there. That's why the body stores that and does it. So fasting is going to be your answer, along with walking. You have to be able to walk for about an hour a day. And if you'll do that and do a juice or water fast, you're going to get your energy, you're going to lose the excess weight, you'll find your ideal self.
What is a good strategy or a diet for either building bone or preventing bone loss in postmenopausal women?
The number one thing for the strength of the bones, again, goes back to salt. When you take enough salt in your body, besides being the electrolyte or the spark maker for all 10,000 trillion cells, that salt, when you have more than enough, is not dangerous or deadly. It ionizes into calcium and stores in the bones. In fact, your bones, they know today, is supposed to be 21% sodium. When you eat foods like celery and rhubarb or bok choy, guess what? They're 21% sodium. They look like bones, they snap like bones, and they heal the bones. If you eat enough salt, it's going to ionize into calcium and strengthen the bones. You eat those foods, it's going to target the bones specifically and heal them. Even the oceans, the floor of the oceans is covered in calcium. And there's even calcium coral. All of the seashells and the crustaceans, the crabs, lobsters, their shells are pure calcium. It all comes from salt water and sunlight ionizing that into calcium.
Beautiful. How can I treat type 2 diabetes? I am taking 2 to 4 milligrams of glimepiride and metformin.
Type 2 diabetes is a total medical pharmaceutical scam. If you're told you're type 2 diabetic, laugh and walk away. That's all you need to do. That is a made-up disease. If you think you really do have glycemic problems, then fine. Go on an uncooked raw food diet for about anywhere from 3 to 6 months. And especially if you live in an area that you're going into the warm season, get the foods that are grown local to your temperate zone. If you have to have something that you feel like you need to eat during that point that's cooked, then have a crock pot full of beans, lentils, legumes, throw in some onion and garlic, and you won't have any problems.
Great. I am 77 years old and my PSA test has been very high. My doctor suggested a biopsy in April due to my enlarged prostate. After discussing my condition with you at the last seminar, I started the oatmeal, wheat germ, ground flaxseed, and lemon every morning for breakfast. I have eaten 3 red grapefruit per day for 9 days, plus 1/4 cup of Brazil nuts each day. I have noticed a great improvement. However, my blood sugar has been very high the past few weeks, and I noticed a definite increase in my blood sugar since eating the grapefruit. What should I do now at this point?
You need to just stay with it. Quit worrying about measuring your glycemic index or the PSA. But even that PSA, if you stay with this, and we just had a guy show up at my house 3 days ago. They were going to cut out the whole thing. They told him that if he didn't come in for surgeries and followed up by chemo, he was going to be dead. And that was like 6 or 7 months ago. He followed the regime you're on. He went from his PSA climbing up to almost 50. They thought he was just going to be dead and that was it. The last time they checked it was 1 day before he came to our house. It was 0.01. He has no cancer whatsoever. He's a very happy man. And quit worrying about the glycemic index. Just stop it. Your body will adjust up and down. Everybody on this earth is diabetic depending on what time of day you check them. So don't do that. Go with how you feel. Go with how you feel.
Great. The best foods or protocols to clear arteries and avoid heart attacks or stroke.
We had a guy at Johns Hopkins, his name's Mike Wentz, and his heart surgeon, Dr. Verde, they got on a conference call with me, and I explained to him, because he was scheduled for quadruple bypass surgery, and he was told that if he didn't come in and do the surgery, he would probably die in the parking lot. He had to stay and go into surgery. They got on the phone, we talked. Mike Wentz had had a dream that he died on the operating table, and he said, I never dream, and that dream seemed so real, I'm not going to do it. He went on 3 ruby red grapefruit every morning, every single morning. He drank 1 quart of water for each 50 pounds of body weight every single day. And at that point he weighed over 200 pounds, so that's about a gallon of water a day. And he had never done that. He might drink a glass maybe every 2 or 3 days. He drank other stuff. He got off all that, drank the water, ate the ruby red grapefruit, sent him out for a walk. He said, I'm not supposed to walk, I could die of a heart attack. And I said, if you have a heart attack when you're walking, just have a quart of water with you. And if you feel a heart attack, just bend over and exaggerate cough. And it'll stop the heart attack. Then drink the water and keep walking. He stopped, asked Dr. Verde, is that true? And he said, actually, that is true. That's how you stop a heart attack. And Mike Wentz said, well, how come you've never told me that? And the doctor said, you've never asked. And so, please don't be afraid. Do not be afraid. Go walking every day as much as you can handle it, and work your way up to an hour a day. Drink that water and eat the ruby red grapefruits. You're gonna be fine. It will clear the arteries out completely in anywhere from 30 days to 90 days. They did a stress test on Mike 6 months out. He never had any clogging in his arteries at all. It was all gone.
Great story. What do you think about anti-estrogen pills to avoid the recurrence of certain cancers?
I think that is one of the biggest scams that there is, and there's always recurrence. Always. You're ever treated for cancer with drugs, radiation, or tumors cut out? It's going to recur, always does. They've got you, you're on the path, they're just going to keep treating you as long as you let them. Stop all that crap. If you want to have more estrogen in the body, get edamames, get soybeans, eat soy foods, eat other plants that have feminine hormone balances in them, and it's all of the foods that have one seed. So things like apricots, peaches, dates, avocados, go with those foods, but especially the sweet peas, beans, edamames, the soybeans. You're going to be just fine.
Great. How can I increase metabolism after turning 65?
The increase of the metabolism occurs when you drink more water. Water converts any of the materials in the body that is stored for backup purposes. It activates them. And that's how you speed that up. Water is the number one thing. To back that up, life is movement. If you're not walking enough, swimming, going out riding bicycles, then yeah, it's just going to slow down. The more you do, the more you can do, and it speeds the whole thing up. So to me, it comes down to movement and water.
Great. Foods to eat to help arthritis or just old joints?
If you want to heal old joints and arthritis, the number one fastest cure, and I have seen this hundreds of times in advanced cases, it's a water fast. I have seen the worst cases of arthritis, swollen knuckles, all kinds of things going on. They go on a water fast for 20 days. The arthritis pain is gone. It's gone. Then you can continue on a juice fast for another 20 days.